Okay, how are you, Guido? I am
It's a
going
fact,
live.
but I think I have it here open on LinkedIn too. It's stating that we're not live yet. So,
I said it's show
oh wait,
live.
I think it's going live now.
Okay, maybe refresh it.
Okay,
Uh,
right now, right here it says
oh, click to join.
participant.
Click to join. Yeah, so people can click to join now. Should we join?
Okay, now it worked. So, but right now I'm only seeing you on the screen. So,
Hi everyone. Good afternoon.
and I'm not hearing you right now.
Yes, pardon us. We're starting our first. Hi everyone. Good afternoon. This is Ava. This is our first time streaming. So, hmm,
So right now I have some problems with hearing you. Don't know what is this. Can you hear me? Just
oh, I think I see your like. So thank you for all your support, everyone. So oh, yeah, I can hear you just fine. Can everyone hear us? Please feel free to put in the comments. If you are hearing us, you're here. Please put in the comments. So, so please tell us if you can hear us. Say something in the comments so that I know that you can hear us.
so split screen is there. Um, Somehow I have some trouble hearing, but I think I hope this will resolve in the course of the webinar. Just gonna switch to another kind
Yeah,
of internet source.
we have 3 participants. So thank you so much for joining us. I see. So welcome, Guido. Yep.
Okay. Um, so one of person just wrote me that he can hear us, but the comments are somehow broken. Um, Unfortunately, don't know why this is. But yeah, I think from the settings part, it should be all set. So therefore, well, I just hope that we'll find a way, or that the stuff with the comments will resolve itself um, with the webinar itself. Because actually, I don't see here a possibility to change any kind of settings of it. So um, I think it's something that has to do with LinkedIn itself. So okay, yeah. Therefore, I think the best thing is just to start to hop right into it. Um, so welcome everybody to our webinar. Basically, what it's going to be, it's Ava and I had the idea to, well, just start a webinar, just also for us a little bit to figure out how this is, and if there's some interest, where we're going to talk about topics related to AI, and basically, well, go into an open exchange with you. Which should have been through the comments, which unfortunately is not working right now, but I think we will figure out a way to address these topics that were interesting. Yeah, and basically, um, well, keep you informed about latest topics or some topics that you're interested in. So, as we don't want to make the presentation part too long, so that we can focus on the topics we have today, maybe a little introduction of myself. My name is Guido Perscheid. I am business development manager at the Center for Deep Tech Innovation and a solution architect for Adaptation, which is actually an AI platform for enterprise grade, well, for building enterprise grade AI applications. And this is also how or let's say we at Adaptation got together with Ava, since we've seen her expertise in strategy and process driven, well, everything that is related to process optimization and process analysis, and we work together here to well with companies to identify processes that can be enhanced with AI and then also be developed through our platform. So, but this being said, kind of the short publicity for the platform itself, I would give Ava over to Ava to maybe give a short introduction of herself.
Thank you, Guido. It's so nice to see everyone here, and thank you for coming to join us. This is the first time. So, my name's Ava Tech, and I am running my own management consulting firm. I have about 17 years experience. Like what I do is working in my past. I work with startups, and I joined some one of the big four firm working on digital transformation and coaching leaders. So right now, what I'm working on is integrating AI into existing or new IT platforms and to improve patient experience while cutting costs and increase profit. So I help a lot of the time. I help mid-sized companies and really help companies to go towards innovation. So what else? A lot of time when we think about digital transformation, as you know, by this year, there's by like a lot of surveys have talked about at least $6 billion has been spent on like at the IDC, for example, survey talk about the $6 billion spent on digital transformation, but also the Harvard Review um, talk about how 70% of companies are struggling and 82% of the business recognize the needs for digital innovation. So this is why we're here and really talking about how digital innovations is not just about technologies, but it's really about really different things. Like it's about education, it's about um, bringing process, but then where it makes sense. So um, and every time you change in technology, there's also changes in culture. So that's why we're here. We're collaborating, we're partnering up to do different things. So um, for me, my one of my best course I've learned at Stanford is design thinking, and I really brought that with me in everything I do. So every time we do, and we even uh, I work with team to integrate AI into the process. I really have this human centric first. So I have about like over 11 hours, 1100 hours working, coaching enterprises. And then really thinking about like how do we use design thinking, how do we use system thinking, and how do we empower teams to create that innovation. So a lot of time it's starting with assessing, with really understanding what the challenge, and then bringing in that strategic goals, and then bringing the team. So I see that Guido is smiling here. So you go for it, Guido. Back to you.
Yeah, actually, that was something you addressed with regards to companies adapting and everything, and AI also being well a question of the workforce. And actually, I think it was today where I read something about that major tech companies. I mean, they have been reducing their workforce quite drastically within well the last month, the last year, also after Corona and everything. I think Spotify reduced it by a third by now. I think they announced something this week or something. But what we also see is that a lot of companies say that they put a lot of money and effort in digitalization. And one of the topics, well, the hot topics right now, without question, of course, being AI. So maybe I would try to take like this statement to kind of get into our the first topic we envisioned to talk about today, since well since the commentary is seems to be broken, and we should have the like live comments here. Maybe this will change, but if this is not the case, we will go a little bit with the agenda we have, and then well. I think the stuff that we're gonna focus on might also be interesting for you. So basically, one thing I want to address is this slide here. This is from a Goldman Sachs report from I think the beginning of this year, and it shows a little bit of the impact AI will have on certain industries within the next 10 years, with darker blue shaded areas being the percentual amount of industries where AI will not have, no automation will have no real impact on. The light blue shaded part being the part where AI will complement actually workforce, and the gray part is the part where AI will actually replace actually jobs. So to take the narrative from South Park, to take away our jobs. So looking at this slide, I think, of course, it's always a question of who you ask. There are also studies out there that stating that it will take away quite a lot of jobs, which I think is something that is out of question. So that being said, that's gonna happen anyway, because this happens with major innovations that have a disruptive potential. This happens with the computer. This happens when I think the first trains were built and stuff. So this is normal. But I think one thing that is particularly interesting here is that we see basically that for most of the industries, AI will rather enhance the job than actually replace humans in the job. The only sections where we see like quite dramatic decrease of, or like quite high number of likely job replacement is office administrative support. This is something where we can think about AI tools are already in place right now, like Calendly, and in the legal sector, um, which directly addresses um, jobs would have to do a lot to do with research. So having automated research to document files and everything. Actually, something we are also working on with an agent right now. But these are the only two sectors that will see like a major replacement, according to the study of Goldman Sachs. And I think this is something important to bear in mind when we talk about AI and the prospects for people working with AI and what influence it will have on jobs itself. Because in the end, I think I go with a little bit with the study from Goldman Sachs. I think AI will basically enhance jobs than replace it. So AI will be a normal thing for us to use in the future. And basically the question everybody will have to ask itself: um, do you go with the flow or don't you? There will always be people who will be replaced by AI, but it's also to be understood as a huge opportunity for people right now to in the end get educated with AI, and therefore also increase their possibilities within the job, but also their possibilities to either change to another job or within their own job to find possibilities to make it more interesting. Basically, because the jobs AI will take away first, or might is well most possible to take away, are routine and predictive jobs. So basically, stuff that we consider quite boring, I think. And I think this is something that is interesting to keep in mind when we talk about this narrative of AI taking away jobs. Um, See the positive side and try to think how AI can enhance your job in the end and make it more interesting, so that the value of yourself, your character, your own soft skills becomes more important. And I think um, for me, this is something important to consider. Um, so yeah, before I talk more about it, because I have some further topics in relation to this that I would like to mention. What do you think about it, Ada?
Um, you asked me questions, Guido. I was just I figured out how I can talk with everyone on live with the comments. So I put some comments there. So please, I
Yeah,
see that the five of us are here. So please tell us what questions you have. This is going to be. I know that we cannot communicate via video, but with the chat, please let us know what question you have, and we will definitely would like to jump in together. So back to you, Guido. You have a question for me.
Yeah. So basically, I go with the Goldman Sachs study to say AI will replace jobs, but on the same hand, AI will create a lot of new jobs. And for the jobs where AI will be taking part, I think most of the jobs will be enhanced by AI. So basically, and actually, I would even say that prompt engineering and knowing how to prompt will become as normal for us in the future. And I'm not talking about 20 years, I'm talking about maybe 5 to 10 years, as it is right now to, I don't know, use Slack, go on LinkedIn, use Microsoft Office. I think this is going to be integrated in most tools in our everyday lives in kind of every job. And therefore, I think I see the possibility for AI to enhance jobs rather than replace ones,
Yeah, absolutely.
mostly.
Just to add to what you're saying, Guido, like right now, like imagine if you are in customer service, right? Like you can absolutely use ChatGPT, integrate with your CRMs, and then get a huge amount of customer insights, and then really help you to funnel who are the right audience, and then you can continue to convert them. Another thing is like I'm working with a company right now, and we're integrating AI into existing IT platforms, and that on the one hand we wanted to improve patient health and better experience, right? Like, and but on the other hand, we also wanted to cut cost and make the system more efficient and help the care managers to really do what they do best, which is create that customized personal experience to engage with patients. And in the end, like everyone win. We win by having patients to stay home longer, reduce the cost for healthcare, with especially you know um, patients with chronic disease, and at the same time uh, we can reduce some of the non-billable hours for care managers so that they can really focus on building that quality communications with patient using AI. So that was a long talk, like long sentences without without pause there. Um, but yeah, another thing that you can think about is data, right? Like the data that you can get um, for product management, product innovation too. Like before, we might have to go and do. I mean, we still have to go and do interviews and really get the real user insights. But now with AI, once we have the right, good data, then they will be able to really um, extracts like a massed amount of informations than really us as humans. Instead of being worried about, okay, where do I go in the product innovation field, we can use that insights and really spend more time to create strategies, think about what else can we do to engage our customers and really deliver that values. um, the thing is though, all of this is great, but as you know, in digital transformation, it's really not just about um, the process. It's all about the people, right? So, in order to get there, the first step, just like any digital transformation, is start with leaders. So the leaders need to understand the importance of data, the importance of AI, and how we can help can help our workforce, can help the people in our companies um, to skill up and to be spending more time to do creative work. Because really, when you are thinking about creating customer experience, everyone talk about how do we get better connected to our audience, to our customers. But a lot of time, the gates to get to your customers is your audience, is your employees, is your staff. So how, like for example, I can just tell you as an example, right? Like um, once I was talking with a leader, and the leader was saying, Ava, I didn't even notice how I react, how I show up, and until a lot of my high end customers come to me and say, your employees, your staff is mean. And so I have a hard look at myself and I realized that, well, they didn't really, they're working really hard for the companies where it's really about getting things done, but it's really not you really yet focused on the human element. So a lot of time having that human element really help your clients to um, to to understand your what you're doing and gaining trust from them is through your staff. So how can we educate leaders and partner with them to for them to understand, just like any other changes, there need to be an education to help the workforce, to help from the leaders to understand the importance and how AI can enable. Now, there's
Yeah.
also other issues with compliance and security, but I have been speaking quite a bit, so it's back to you, Guido. What are your thoughts on those?
Actually, because we're addressing leaders, um, well, tell a little bit of story around it. I recently read like quite a cool quote, stating that basically we thought that AI will take away the boring work away from us, and well, give us time to in the end focus on the creative and interesting stuff. And now that we have AI, or let's say Gen AI in place, so for everybody to use, we are still doing the boring stuff, and AI is doing the creative stuff, like writing poems with ChatGPT, making pictures of Midjourney, or starting to create videos and everything, which I think is, I mean, the quote is funny, but in the end, it somehow resonates. The normal way of a new technology, of new innovation, of how it works. I mean, um, I come from the blockchain field, so I think I know better than quite a lot of people what the Gartner Hype Cycle is. So if the normal Gartner Hype Cycle is a roller coaster, the blockchain one was a deadly roller coaster because you were not able um, to attempt the speed this roller coaster was going. And I think with AI, it's going to be, or it is actually quite the same, if not faster. But what it will be in the end, and this is where I come to the workforce. Right now, companies are trying out AI, or well, let's say they're starting to try out AI and everything to see how it works, how they can use it, and everything. Um, some applications are being built up, like the existing applications are being developed further, etc., etc. And this is good, and this is a normal way of the development. Then we're gonna reach the highest point of the hype cycle, which, well, depending on what we look like, maybe what we look at is maybe already reached, or we are already on the way, um, and then this will fall down, and this will fall down at the moment that every company is using the same shitty AI tools. So everything will look the same. Everything, if they don't have like personalized or really good AI tools, we will see that everybody's gonna use the same, and people will get bored of it. This will be the case in art. So people will start to be more interested again in creative stuff than in any picture created by Midjourney, or videos created by Midjourney, or movies created with AI. This will be the case for LinkedIn posts, where actually this is something I actually hate. If I've seen a LinkedIn post, in the end, in conclusion, you can see, okay, this post is created by AI, so it has nothing to do with own opinion or whatsoever. And this will repeat itself for quite a lot of things, from applications to, well, social media to art to everything. And then we will come to a place where two things will become important for companies to succeed. The first thing will be if they use the right AI tools that have some kind of way for them to personalize. And the second one will be how good their workforce is firstly educated in AI. So if they know what they're doing and how AI actually creates the output they have, doesn't mean if it's pictures or text or whatsoever, because this is a quality criteria. And the second one will be people will need to know how to work with AI to actually then, and this then becomes important, put their soft skills on top of AI, being it creative in marketing, being it in making outreach, being it in developing solutions or working with AI. You need the basic understanding, and you need like a good connection of the soft skills of your employees with the AI itself, and then also the skills of the employee become more important again. But you have to set the basis for both of these: the understanding, the applications, and also the education of your employees right now. Because, well, when the time comes that this becomes important and you start thinking about it, then, well, we can ask Blockbuster and other companies how cool it was to start addressing innovation once it was there. So basically, this is why I think that first of all, education of the of the employees, but also from the leadership level, understanding the consequences on a long term level, and starting now to put you in a good strategic position will become really important in the future. Because one thing, this is also to be said, with the productivity AI is bringing, a lot of companies will fail, like with the internet thing. If you had like the shares of a Google or Facebook, you've been quite lucky if you have like the shares of any company who had .com at the end, which then went broke, like I think 90% or something with during the .com bubble. The same will happen with AI too. Only difference is also now with companies that work with AI, not only AI companies. At least that's what I
Yeah.
think.
And AI can be applied in so many different fields, right? Like now, if you actually in finance, you probably see that there's a lot of AI partnership between the financial advisors and the clients. The clients now can really start asking questions for AI to answer, so that free up the times that a really smart, experienced AI financial advisor to really focus on more complex problems and really about enhancing that experience. Like a lot of I've talked with some of the financial advisor, and they said, at first I felt really anxious about learning this, like, will this replace me? But the thing is, after using and learning about what it can really handle a lot of routine transactions, he was really happy about it, because then he can um, he himself can increase his work-life balance and job satisfaction based on the nature of this job, and not always have to be there 24/7 for his clients. Another experience is when people have experience, like, I remember helping even retailers. I used to work for international government, like Canadian government, and one of our company was using AI even 10, 20, 10 years before this. And we brought in, like, I really bring them into the retail stores. Like in retail industries, we talk about how do we get that data in in a compliance way, but secure way, but like in an ethical way, but also really getting the right insights, so we can build the right products, and we can really uh, even just check on the inventories and create that customer engagement. So, like, if you really watch McKinsey report, all there's a talk about how AI adopters have significant profit margin advantage, up to 5% over like the non-adopters. So, like I say, it's really helped to leverage that in AI for inventory management, personalized customer experience, and if companies don't do that, eventually we'll lose a lot of competitive advantage.
Yeah, of course. And well, but I think with AI, it's a little bit like with every kind of also as it was that crap in, crap out. You will have to say same thing with AI, if you don't know how to use it. But but actually, I also think, like, if we take it from economic perspective, um, I mean, it doesn't apply to all countries. But for instance, what is the reason why India, for instance, is envisioned to have one of the strongest growing economies? What is the reason why China is decreasing a little bit? Well, besides about the factors with the situation in Taiwan and everything, but in the end, one of the most valuable resources for economies is their workforce. And workforce is something, I mean, I'm not 100% sure of this in the US, but I think it's comparable with Europe. In Europe, we have a problem with workforce, with skilled workforce and everything. And also here, I think that AI will be one of the major factors that may make a difference, that we can somehow cope with this problem of having not enough skilled workers in a lot of areas, where AI can at least help to, well, make the situation a little bit better. And well, I always also like to think of it from an, well, let's say well, utilitarian way of thinking about. And then I always think about this when I was at the university at, I think it was one of the advanced economics classes. One of our Professor Werner, told us about a paper from Keynes, like well, the godfather of the anti-cyclical economy, which is not so which is not so widely known. But for me, it was the most interesting thing. I think it's called something like "Economic Possibilities of Our Grandchildren" or something. Was written about the 1930s, and Keynes actually had a look on productivity of well, of the humans as a whole, and has one of the make like a huge calculation. One of the factors being technological growth and innovation, everything. Um, and I'm not sure until when the calculation was, but I know we already surpassed the date for his made the calculation. And actually, Keynes was more concerned with the fact how we can have enough to do during our days to not become crazy than the amount of work. So basically, his main concern was our well, psychic ability to cope with not having anything to do due to technological advancement. And actually, there have been studies looking at what Keynes said, and he wasn't wrong. Actually, he even underestimated the technological growth that we were able to do. The only
Yeah.
thing that he wasn't aware of, that he didn't thought of, was that wealth was so unequally distributed among humans,
Hmm.
which for me was like one of the big aha moments with regard to economies and in how far capitalism has to eradicate itself, etc., and how far this whole systems work. But what I consider interesting is like his major factor for his calculation was technological growth, and we outgrown it, and he never envisioned what AI could be, would be whatsoever. So I actually also see quite a lot of possibilities in this technology, in the way of optimizing work to maybe refocus a lot of jobs to more social parts and everything, to have like actually a better working society through the enhancement. But well, it can also swap to the other side, right? We're now,
Yeah.
I think, on a very decisive point on where, well, to decide where the next 10, 50, 120, 200 years will go. It could swap to a complete dystopia, but also like to a very enhanced future to what we have right now. It's a little bit up to us, well, politicians and everything, to see what we're going to do out of these new technologies,
Yeah.
and what we're going to do with this new productivity we can possibly well, get through AI.
Yeah, and of course, like we also have to think about security and compliance, and that is definitely another conversation because it's going to be not easy to measure, but at the same time, come back to your points, like how AI can really enhance the workforce, the people. We talk about how employees' well-being and employees' satisfaction is also a part of reaching out to your clients and building that brand and building that trust, because your employees can be that first gate to communicate with your customers. But how do we do that? Like, when I was in the Bay Area, it was just very new, and I was learning even myself, like how to do meditation and yoga just for myself to really manage that internal world, right? Like, and then I start to when I met with the Dalai Lama and he came and he just in front of 8,000 people, he said, compassion will change your life. And I said, okay, compassion start with us, with ourselves. So I spent like 40 days in an ashram learning how to teach meditation
Oh, wow.
and yoga. Yeah. And my friend, I asked her to come with me and she said, but Ava, we don't know anything about this. And I said, well, that's exactly why we need to immerse ourselves and learn it. And then I came back to university in Palo Alto, and I taught everyone, and my professors, and she was saying, Ava, I was thinking about your session when I can't come. So everyone is busy, everyone's stressed out, but yet no one talk about it. And then I start to see master students, PhD students came to my class, and then their parents start to came and held my hand and say, thank you, our students really needed this. and and it just stayed with me as a tool even when I am working on digital transformations, and how with product innovation, like that self reflections, that space where we can create it to help us to feel mindful, and then with that intention that we can really help to when we talk with our clients or our customers. And as you can tell, right, it's not even a big news about how we experience a great resignation. It's one thing. People move jobs if they are not feeling happy. They don't, like, a lot of people even choose to have a less of the high pay to really get that work life balance. And then secondly, if you really think about the great resignation, with Gen Z, they also like to be very creative. So how do we give room for people to be, like you say, social, and be creative? And a lot of time when I am working on design thinking and really help the team to understand customer empathy and all of that design thinking tools, that is so wonderful. It's all starting with communication. It's all start with how do we interact with each other, how do we create that safe space so that we can be free to innovate. And that's AI can really definitely help us from generating persona to really giving on that us back that time so that we can spend more time on team building. And last thing I want to touch on is the fact that after the pandemic, um, the trend of working hybrid or working online is not going anytime soon. So how do we help people to connect with one another? And it's just a lot of time, even just simple as coffee hours, but then if we're so busy and we can't really even put in that time. So this is where AI doing a lot of manual job can help us to fulfill those jobs so that we can focus on building connections and together innovate.
I think it fits quite well into it because, well, if you look here in Frankfurt, we right now, I think there's never been so many free office space in Frankfurt than is right now because people want to, well, work at home to parts or completely. I, from my side, have to say I love the fact that I work completely at home because I put my headphones on, well, hear a little bit disturbing music from the perspective from other people's, maybe, so being classic or metal or something, and then I just work. Nobody talks to me. I don't drink coffee. I just do my stuff. But also, I have to say, from time to time, I like to exchange ideas with people. This is then, well, in my case, this is then when we have a company event, or when I go to conferences or meetups or something and stuff. Um, but I think AI fits quite well also into this narrative because I think in the future you won't have many companies, not all, depends already on the job and everything. Um, but you won't have your office space, I think, the most. You will have like a shared space where people, let's say teams, go in to work on the creative part. This could be in sprints or whatsoever. Then everybody gets their task, then they go back home, and then, or well, to their home office. This is where they work. This is where they work. Right, solving a problem. And this is where AI can come in perfectly. You have your AI assistant. This is nobody who will go on your nerves with questions or whatsoever, or wanting to talk to you with a coffee. No, This is somebody you can do, is the productive partner you have. You work together with him, you do your job, and then for the creative part, you can go back to the office, for instance.
Yeah.
Various way on how to on how to use it. And
Yeah.
with regard to motivating, maybe just as the last one thing said, also yeah, like younger generations. Um, I think we are right now shifting into also a new way um, of yeah, let's say working that hasn't been there before. I think in the future you won't kind of start your job with 20, with 16 or something. You start one job and then and always doing the same job. I think this is something that will be rarely present. What we will have, I think that especially with regard to all, well, environmental changes, crises that will come up, technological changes, and everything, you will kind of adapt your job quite often in your life. And this requires continuously upskilling and growing. You will always have to learn to adapt and to, well, be fast enough not to be left behind while you're working. The younger ones will be like the fitter ones because they have some time. They're like more tech, more into tech. And then as they grow older, they have a little bit more less time because they have to work and solve problems. Kind of the experience covers for that. Um, but I think, especially for also for young generation, this makes also jobs thrilling. You're always being challenging yourself and everything. And actually, I can talk. I can say it for myself. I mean, when we developed an engine, first our developers worked and built application and stuff. And then I started to work with them together to, well, basically look over their shoulder, look what they're doing, understanding the platform itself and how we build applications. And now, well, I'm building applications myself. And every application, every use case we have, everything is always challenging because the approach is mostly different because, well, depending on the input factors, depending on who you work with, what you work, what you should develop and stuff. But this is something thrilling that makes it interesting. Um, and I think this is something with which you can also like get the younger workforce interested in a job because it won't be always the same. You will see a purpose and you will feel and notice that you are growing and that you are getting better day by day. And I think this will be something that will be an important factor
Yeah.
because
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think just like to end this up, money is still important, will always be important. But if you look at with how much money you can afford to buy a house here in the US, it's even worse to what it is now. I can understand people who say, okay, money is not the most important thing anymore because there's no guarantee that if I work 15 years in a decent job, I can buy a house and pay for a whole family. Uh, well, and having a wife or a man who do not have to work anymore. So these days are over. So therefore, I understand people who say, okay, why the fuck should I die in my job working if it like the output is not is not worth it. So therefore, having a job that challenges you with a decent salary, of course, but where you shift also like your life goals throughout your whole lifespan, not towards the end when you will have your own house and two cars, which will not happen for most people who work with a normal job. I can perfectly understand it. Therefore, the job has to be interesting. This is something um, I think through AI and through the innovations that will come, some of them who are already a little bit identifiable on the horizon, and what ever will come further with robotic automation and whatsoever. I will see. But I think this is something that will become interesting and
Yeah.
important.
And just to add to what you were saying about how job is never going to be the same again, like the generations of our grandparents is going away sometime soon. But on top of that, as human, right, like we're progressing and it is in our innate, like always trying to be better, always trying to be helpful in some way, whether we admit it or not. So this is just a tool for us um, to be connecting with others, to improve even our own experience at work. We spend 8 hours at work, and so a lot of time we can't really bring in our personalities, and AI can really start helping, like in one way. I mean, one of my client told me he's a leader in an IT space, and he said, Ava, I mean, the pandemic was hard, and we just keep putting our head down and work, and we're working virtual. So now with AI, we improve our productivities by like at least 15 times. So I was able to really free up some of my time and starting to create the circle of just networking or just learning about one another peer at work. And at first it was just within my group of 10, you know, 35 people. And then now it's all entire companies. And now we're thinking about, we also have outings offline. So AI, it doesn't mean that like we are staying on call all the time, but it's actually even enable us to have that thread time so that we can have that offline experience that more meaningful, that team building. And he said it changes everything. It become a sense, sensational within the company. So every digital transformation, every transformation, we need to have that champions. We need to have that people to really that connecting the dots, the people that really are glue to glue other people together. So leaders could be a great folks to start with and help people to get more upskilled and then have more time for yourself and for your colleagues.
Yeah, I mean, if we take like the direct comparison, how far is this now different from the invention of using computers in companies? You had to go to every meeting. You have to drive around. People did nothing else in sales than driving around Germany, Europe, whatsoever, flying to the US in order to have like a 3 hours meeting, and then they got their whole week packed to then fly back. These are like days in airplanes, in cars, in trains, which they will never get back, like completely, or let's say to 80% unproductive time. Of course, there are meetings that should be done in person, but if we're sincere, most of them, especially like first meetings or something, we just have to talk things through, doing it with a computer, doing it be it with an email or something, um, enhanced our time and make it more productive. So I don't see too much of a difference from using a computer. From starting using computer to AI, it's just like another step where we can enhance our time and make it more, make it count in the end.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, for example, in like, let's come back to healthcare, right? um Now, I mean, even now, like if I go to see a doctor's and I have a questions, I have done my research using chat gpt. I look in the web, and then I go to the doctor, and the doctor is like, I'm supposed to be telling you all this. I'm like, well, this is why everyone now needs to be scaling up, because AI has a way to educate us, and then if we're not doing that, then we'll be falling behind. um, and then also, it's helpful if we can free up our time and we can be more knowledgeable, especially for, I can't stress this enough, but for a lot of companies that have completely a virtual working environment, like how do you really help women with diversity, equity, and inclusion? It's a big topic, but really, like if we don't really see each other, what other mode of support that companies give to have women leaders in the workplace to grow. So with more time, there's a more creativities, more team buildings, more time for building the right products, not just building the product, and then giving that time for to improve workplace diversity for for uh, for the authentic reason, not just for bringing up the numbers, but really bringing that what matters.
Well, also, yeah, I think actually one of the most important things that often um, get a little bit out of scope is, um, at least I think AI is and will also democratize in a huge way our sense of education itself. Because, one thing, let's say what the blockchain space, or let's say the Web3 space, like blockchain and everything around it, um, was really impressing in. It was to somehow, well, women and men, everything were like equal. It was more about the skills and what you know. You had like more close communities. People were avatars with certain names where you can't say if they're female or male, and actually it didn't matter. Nobody was really interested. You got to know the people maybe in conferences, but a lot of the stuff happened online. So this was for me like one of the coolest thing is that you really have some kind of empowerment of women. Also, you had it there in the blockchain space. And with regard to AI, thing I consider really cool is basically you don't need to go to university. You don't need to spend, well, this is enough for the people in the US, hundred thousands of dollars on your education. In Germany, it's fortunately less, but you don't have to go to a top university in order to be able to learn about AI. You can do YouTube courses, you can inform yourself. You have quite a lot of possibilities to get a decent knowledge about it. And therefore, I'm not saying that everybody should just learn AI and do nothing else. I think um, most university courses and the education you get, but also, um, well, from books and everything is valuable. But the knowledge and the ways to educate yourself up to a certain point are out there and they are available. And I think this is something that makes a great difference in kind of getting some kind of equality of chances to go to a certain level of profession with regard to AI. And thinking this even further, I also think like in the education of minors, this can also be like a pretty good step, because for instance, let's take school times. I mean, I was lucky. My parents, well, read with me books and tried to explain it to me. And I could, if I had a question on maths or something, I can talk to them. They helped me throughout the school. But there are other households where either the parents do not want or that they can't because of time constraints and everything, where it's harder for the children to get educated if they have a problem or something. Right now,
Yeah.
if you know how to use ChatGPT more or less, you can ask ChatGPT, how is this equation done? Why is it this way? Why is the grammar wrong in this way? So you also have um, quite a lot of possibilities if you don't have other sources to help you with your education, to actually enhance education in some way, which is something that most people, well, do not think about in the first place. But also there, I think the possibilities are quite rich.
Yeah. And one day, maybe even at university levels, sometimes we go to university and we said, okay, I'll major in marketing, or I major in sociology, or I major in astronomy, or in math and physics. Maybe in the future, with the help of AI, there be less of the majors and more of just like, this is what I want to learn today. This is what I want to learn tomorrow. It's sort of an extensive liberal arts school where everyone can be very much quickly learn and be an expert in one domain. Of course, there's going to be experience have to be counted for, but the information will be available for lifelong learners and people who want to learn a different field. You're not no longer being limited to just one thing, and then the conversation become a lot more collaborative between the people, between the learners, because everyone can pick up on new subjects and learn that. So I know that we're approaching our time today. Guido, I have a few maybe just take away, but I'd love to hear your first.
Maybe with regard to the majors, I think majors will still be there, but you will need a minor in prompt engineering or something like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's become like, how good are you prompting it to get you to the right place? So that's definitely a potential there.
Yeah, so major takeaways. Well, first of all, actually, I like the format. Of course, once we get it with the comments, that this works better. Of course, we can be a little bit more interactive. Um, but yeah, I think I like the way we handled it in a kind of a free conversation without many slides, because I see this more like as a podcast kind of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, in regard to good technology, I think the major takeaways from me with regard to AI are, first of all, we have a huge chance right now to really change a lot of things, work, education, economical, for the better, and also to um, give jobs that are not valued enough right now, which are in the social sector, the possibility to increase in kind of times, quality of job, but also maybe we've got to pay. Therefore, I think Financial Times recently had an article even with compensation of AI for other jobs or something. So actually already building on some structures which I consider quite interesting. Second of all, um, I think, and this is something we also already always address in our prompt engineering webinars, for instance, it is more important to have a look at the chances AI might give you, no matter which job it is, to educate yourself and well, to try to become proficient in understanding what AI is and how to use it, than to think AI is going to take away my job. Because you won't stop the development, you won't stop the AI. The only question is, do you want to belong to the winning X% that will use AI, have a better job, have like, or like say, even in their job, have a more pleasant job because some boring stuff is automated and it can focus on important thing, or will you belong to the depending on which industry, to the 10 up to, I think legal sector was around 30 to 40% of people who might get their job replaced. So this is a choice everybody can do right now. The time is there. It's still time, enough time left. But do your choice now, educate yourself, and do, because AI won't stop you. And overall, I think with the right measurement, with the right regulation, everything, it's far more of a chance than it is of a threat.
Yeah. Well, Guido, I so appreciate you this time. Like, I appreciate you every week when we meet, and we always have an amazing interactions and thinking about the future um, of our partnerships. At the same time, like today, we touch on a lot of topic. We touch on the trend of remote and hybrid work model. We talk about how important it's to have a work-life balance. I didn't mention that, but even like companies like LinkedIn, they've done the studies of how many hours of meditation, of mindfulness really tied back to productivities. But it's not really just about the productivity, but it's really also about the demand in personalizations, as we're know that the trend in learning, the trend in people wanted to continue to improve better themselves, and having that personalization customer experience, both employees and customer experience, it's very important, tailored to their specific needs and experience and preference, even in learning. And of course, we talk about data driven decision making, using that massive data. When we have good clean data, it's really help with analytics and for strategic decision making. And last but not least, that soft skills. I'm going to talk more tomorrow on the soft skills in another podcast, to look for that. I think it's at 11 a.m. Central on December 6th. But we once we address all that trends, we also talk about how important it is, how helpful it is for AI to really enhance employees' joy and customer satisfaction, and automating routine tasks, and bringing that personal experience for to help people to learn, even career planning. And they say happy wife is happy life, but happy employees are happy customers, right? So think about that as a leaders. So having that enhanced customer interactions, having that AI really free up your time and really help with bringing better quality of service, and really even for predictive analysis and proactive support, and really know where to go next, become more like sense and sensing the market rather than always reactive to it. And also, the last thing is to free up that time for people to be more creative, to give more opportunities for diversity, equity, and inclusion. I am a woman in tech, so I'm always going to talk about this. Like, my hearts go out to all the women leaders in the field. So with that, please drop us a line, even if you watch it later, give us a comment. We're planning to do this more regularly.
Yeah, if there are topics that you might consider interesting or something, we can see if we can cover this topic, or we can invite somebody who will. Or if you're interested in talking in a topic and link it live with us, also feel free to reach out.
Yeah, fantastic. But the future of work is now. So continue to embrace that AI and human collaborations, and continue to learn, and happy learning and happy Tuesday. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.